You had once been the good one. In college, you organized rallies demanding clean water. You spent weekends volunteering at homeless shelters. You truly believed the system was corrupt and that you could repair it. At 26, you ran for city council. Your message was clear transparency, accountability, service to the people. You won by just 12 votes, and you proved yourself worthy of them. You uncovered corruption inside the Public Works Department. You fought for affordable housing projects and got them approved. Local newspapers praised you as a breath of fresh air. For a while, you felt like a hero. Then you set your sights on Congress. The stage was larger. The risks were higher. Campaigning required serious funding. Far more than before. A wealthy executive walked into your campaign headquarters without warning. No meeting scheduled. He said he admired your message and wanted to support your run. Then he handed over a check for $40,000. You asked him what he expected in exchange. Nothing, he replied. Just stay as you are now. You won the election. You went to Washington determined to make a difference. 3 months later, the executive called. A vote was approaching, a minor tax clause buried deep in a lengthy bill. Nothing headline-grabbing. He asked if you would think about supporting it. You reviewed the legislation. It was thick and technical. The clause would reduce his company's taxes by around $2 million. But it would also benefit thousands of other businesses, employers, investors, supposed drivers of economic growth. You voted in favor. Half a year later, he called again. Another bill was coming up, this one about easing environmental rules on industrial waste. You paused. This felt heavier. You had built your campaign on protecting the environment. But he laid out his reasoning calmly. The regulations, he said, were crushing domestic jobs and pushing factories overseas. Did you really want production moved to countries with weaker environmental protections? Would that truly help the planet? You cast your vote in favor again. Environmental activists were outraged. They felt you had turned your back on them. Some supporters walked away, but new ones stepped in. Industry leaders began applauding you. Practical, they said. Sensible. One prominent businessman invited you to dine at an upscale steakhouse. He wanted you to meet a few associates, other executives with similar frustrations. Their grievance was consistent: excessive regulations, endless paperwork. They simply wanted the freedom to operate. You began returning their calls, making connections, guiding them through administrative hurdles. Nothing unlawful, just assisting constituents. After all, that's what elected officials are supposed to do. 4 years later, you launched a Senate campaign. The businessman and his circle each contributed the maximum allowed by law. Then came donations from their spouses, their children, their staff, their corporate PACs. Before long, your campaign account swelled to $3 million. You won by a wide margin. The Senate felt different. Greater authority, wider influence, higher stakes. That's when the fixer appeared. He arrived at your office without warning, dressed in an expensive suit. No appointment. Your assistant attempted to block him, but he brushed past and seated himself across from you with a calm smile. I solve problems, he said, for people like you. You asked what sort of problems. The kind that destroy careers, the kind that wreck lives. I make them vanish. You should have ordered him out, called security, filed a report. Instead, you asked how. He leaned back comfortably. You've got an opponent in your upcoming race. Young, energetic, spotless background. He's climbing in the polls. You already knew exactly who he was talking about. The surveys showed you ahead by only 5 points. The fixer said, what if people found out he has a gambling habit? Nothing criminal, just debts and poor choices. Voters hate that. Does he gamble? You asked. The fixer gave a thin smile. He will. You told him to get out. You said you weren't interested. Still, he left a card on your desk, just a phone number, no name. 3 weeks later, your rival was gaining in the polls. Your team was in panic mode. You were on the verge of losing. You dialed the number. 2 days after that, images appeared online. Your opponent inside a casino, stacks of chips in front of him, looking drunk, careless. The images were fake. You knew they were altered, manufactured, but they looked authentic, real enough for the media, real enough for voters. He denied it all, called it a dirty trick. It didn't matter. The harm was done. You won by 12 points. The fixer called the next morning. You owed him, he said. You'll used to it eventually. Everyone does. How much, you asked. Not money. Access. Access meant lists of people who needed favors, deals that required approval, rules that needed to be overlooked. You promised yourself it would end after one favor, then after the next, then after you secured your standing. But he always had leverage, always a reminder of what he'd done for you. 6 years in the Senate made you powerful. Committee chairs, exclusive invitations, and you did things, dark things you can't undo. You helped shut down investigations. You placed calls to judges. You made sure certain cases never reached court. You introduced people who should never have met. Nothing ever traced back to you. He guaranteed that, still, you knew. In the quiet hours, you knew. When the president chose you as vice president, the fixer phoned before you could celebrate. Congratulations, he said. Now we can really get to work. That was 2 years ago. Now you sit in your grand office, marble floors, portraits of past leaders on the wall. Secret Service agents guard the door. You still convince yourself you're one of the good ones, that you're thinking long-term, that when you finally become president, you'll sever ties. The phone on your desk rings. You recognize the caller before you even pick up. The fixer. He asks to meet. Tonight. Urgent. You find him in a dim parking garage. We have an issue, he says. There's a reporter. Young. Sharp. She's been digging into your history. Senate races, committee decisions, financial disclosures. What did she uncover? Nothing concrete, not yet. But she's close. She's asking the right questions. What's your recommendation? He unlocks his phone and turns the screen toward you. It's her. Walking out of her apartment, coffee in hand, unaware she's being photographed. I can make her disappear, he says. Not physically, just professionally. Destroy her credibility. Make sure no one trusts her. You stare at the image. This is different. This isn't smearing a rival with edited photos. This is ruining an innocent person. Someone doing her job. How? You ask quietly. Better you don't know. Plausible deniability. Just give the word. You should refuse. You should walk away. You should confess and face whatever consequences come. But you've sacrificed too much. You're too close to the Oval Office. Too close to everything you've chased. You look at him. You nod. Good, he replies. I'll take care of it. 3 days later, headlines begin to spread. The reporter is accused of plagiarism, invented sources, ethical misconduct. The claims are fabricated, planted carefully, but effective. Her editor suspends her. Her name collapses under suspicion. No outlet will touch her investigation now. No one believes her. You watch it unfold from your office. You feel nauseous and relieved. You're protected. For the moment, 2 months later, your presidential campaign launches. Massive rallies, crowds chanting your name. You shake hands, deliver speeches, flash perfect smiles at the cameras. But when the lights go out at night, you see her face. The lies. The damage you allowed. You win primary after primary. You secure the nomination. Then, 3 months before Election Day, something changes. The reporter returns. She's been working in silence, rebuilding her case, collecting proof, convincing former insiders to speak. People who once worked for the fixer. People who know the truth. Then she releases it all. Not only the smear campaign against her, everything. Your Senate run, the staged photos, the hidden inquiries, the fixer's whole network. She can't verify every detail, but she confirms enough. The story explodes online. Every major outlet runs it. Your rivals demand formal investigations. Your supporters stop returning calls. Your numbers in the polls crash. With 2 weeks left before Election Day, you're trailing by 15 points. It's finished. Everyone can see it. Then the fixer calls one final time. He says he can still repair the damage. One last move. Something massive. Something that resets the board. You understand exactly what he's suggesting. Something extreme. Something that crosses a boundary you can never step back over. You actually consider it. For the first time in 15 years, you refuse. You tell him you're done. He reminds you that if he falls, you fall too. He has files, audio, receipts, everything. This time, you don't flinch. You end the call. On election night, You lose decisively. Later, alone in your hotel room, your phone vibrates. A message from the reporter. Thank you for finally doing the right thing. You stare at it. Then the FBI contacts you. They want a meeting. About the fixer. About all of it. You agree to cooperate. Not for a lighter sentence. Not for protection. Just because it's right. At last. You think about the college kid who once organized protests, who believed politics could change the world, who wanted to be the good guy. Maybe that version of you isn't completely gone. Maybe there's still a way to be the hero, not the powerful one, not the president, just the one who tells the truth.